I'm a huge advocate for anti-inflammatory eating. So, because inflammation makes the brain feel worse, and that is actually correlated with depression, anxiety, all that stuff.
Anti-inflammatory eating. I love that. So clean eating.
Yeah,
right?
Clean eating. Yeah.
So that does play a role in our
think it
neurofeedback.
does. I think it does. And I think the more sensitive of a person you are, the more of a role it's going to play. I'm a pretty sensitive person. So if I ate a piece of candy or something, I'm not going to feel very good.
Welcome to the Collective Mic, the podcast where women leaders get loud about what really matters. I'm your host, Joyce Tody, founder of Collective Women's Leadership. We are not here for fluff. We're here to lead, build, and rise together. Whether you're climbing the corporate ladder, building your own brand, or redefining leadership on your terms, this mic is for you. Beyond Talk Therapy, today I have the pleasure of meeting with Jillian Wendelin, owner, founder, and licensed therapist of Integrative Wellness Clinic here in Las Vegas. I am so excited to have you here, Jillian.
Thank you so much.
I know you're also a proud member of Collective Women's Leadership.
That's right.
And I think you have been since almost the beginning.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. And through Collective Women's Leadership, I had the pleasure of not only meeting you, and then really getting introduced to what, brain mapping and brain therapy is and all of the fun things we're going to talk about today. And so I would love for you to just get into it with the audience, because I think there is a lot to be said. I think a lot of people are in talk therapy, which is a wonderful thing.
Yes, very
But
helpful.
what beyond talk therapy you've tapped into and really what you do through neurofeedback?
Yeah. Really, it was because I was struggling. I had all the tools. I did all the therapy. I went to couples therapy. I did IFS. I did EMDR. I did everything. And it definitely helped. It for sure was chipping away at my trauma and my ADHD and all those things. But I still was stuck. And I needed something to kind of move me to the next. And I had a handful of clients who were stuck too. There was, let me say that again. I had a handful of clients that were stuck too. And so I needed to know what was next for them, what was next for me, and what was next for them. And so I kind of stumbled onto neurofeedback in like a Facebook group.
Oh.
And then I did a deep dive, and I kind of just took a risk. I was like, let me try this on myself. And so I got the machine. I started working on myself morning and night. I was doing it at like 7 in the morning and like 10 at night outside of my working time. And around session 5, I was like, oh, something's really different. Something's different in my brain. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah.
What specifically? Could you pinpoint it at that point?
Yeah. So, the first thing was, instead of ignoring all my text messages and being like, oh, later, oh, I'll do this thing later, and putting something off, I just was answering people right then. And it sounds like a small thing, but people with ADHD know what that feels like, that they're going to go later, and then never come back to it, or apologize to people 6 days later because you forgot to return their messages. And yeah, so, and then it just kept getting better and better from there. So I started using it with my most difficult clients, which I don't think is the recommendation. I think you're supposed to start with easy people, but I knew that they needed help. And so it started transforming them. And I was like, wait, should I be doing this instead of therapy? And I really transitioned my whole practice over.
So walk us through the technical aspect of what neurofeedback is.
Okay. So I could go into all the technicals, but in layman's terms, it's teaching. It's teaching the brain how to do something different, right? Like, so if I was going to try to teach you a skill, we would talk about it, I would show you all that stuff, but instead I can go directly to the brain waves and teach those how to function differently.
So tell us about a session. A client comes in and schedules time with you, and what happens?
Yeah. So first people do their assessment with me. So I'm going to go over so many questions about how your brain functions, what your day-to-day looks like, and then we're going to determine a protocol. The fun part that everybody wants to know about is how does it work? What does it look like? So basically, you're sitting in a big comfy chair with an EEG machine, so the same thing your doctor would hook up to you to see if you're having seizures, and that's going to read what your brain is doing. So there's no shocks, there's no pain, nothing like that. And in front of you is a laptop screen, and then that screen is almost like talking to your brain, but it's basically with weird noises. So the same way that we teach our dog to to pee in the right place with giving it a treat. Our brain is getting a bunch of treats, weird noises. And then on the other side, it's silence and like little kind of sounds to tell your brain, hey, don't do that, or hey, keep doing that. Makes sense?
And anyone of any age
yes.
can do this.
One of my favorite stories that I heard from our mentor was even 18-month-old twins who were having really bad seizures got on the machines, and within 6 sessions, their seizures were getting better. Yeah, it's wild. And so we've done as old as 83 in our clinic, and then at our clinic, the youngest we've done is 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they have to be referred to by a doctor, or
No.
who refers them, or how do people find out about neurofeedback?
Yeah, so right now, mostly people find out either Googling or if they had a friend who did it and had a great experience, and so they self-refer.
What point in your personal life did you decide to leave talk therapy and pursue your own company and own clinic?
I think it was a really hard decision for me because I identified my identity was I'm a therapist. This is who I've been. This is what I've been working towards. And so it was a big change. But I think what started to happen was we were just getting more and more referrals, and it was getting harder and harder for me to close the door and be like in the room with a therapy client rather than being available to the clinic. And so it kind of chose me.
The butterfly effect.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because as this came, then I just had to wean down my clients.
Wow, I bet that was hard.
It was hard.
Do you ever face skepticism, and how do you overcome that? So I'm sure prior to neurofeedback maybe being as popular as it's getting or known, did you have doubt and skepticism about taking this jump and saying, I'm going to leave my identity and move on to something else? I mean, I think a lot of women in our careers, we immediately identify with what our career has made us, right? We are then identified as someone who's been in this role for over 10 years. It's we eat, breathe, and sleep our career. And then we get this calling and pull to something we know we can serve people so much better. Yeah. And when was that moment for you? And you said, screw the skepticism. I'm going to take this leap. Yeah. And a lot of people may be doubting it, but where was all of this for you?
It had to be in my own story. Really, it had to be that it helped me so much, and I knew that hour of training someone's brain versus me sitting there and talking about their issues for an hour, it just was worth so much more. If I'm being truthful, I love talk therapy. I think it has so much value. But for somebody like me who had ADHD, who had some complex trauma in my life, the talk therapy was bouncing off of me, and I had so many clients who felt the same. They were trying and trying. Their brain was not working for them. Yeah.
So you walked us through a little bit about neurofeedback and who it's for. Can anyone benefit from this? So, for example, I started this. So I have done neurofeedback with you now for what? A few months? A while. Yeah. And I don't have ADHD. No. I don't have depression issues. Right. I was not at the time in talk therapy. Not to say that I have not been in talk therapy, which I have, because I've had traumas like everyone else, and I'm a human being. Yeah. But at the time, I really wanted to advocate for you and really help you grow your business. So I did start in my own neurofeedback therapy when I was starting to ramp up Collective Women's Leadership. Yeah. And we all know where that's gone.
That's right. Amazing.
In 1 year. So who can benefit? So you don't necessarily need to have a clinical diagnosis of ADHD or depression. Even if you're a very high functioning person, talk us through that.
Yeah. And we do have, I would say it's a big mix of people who are really struggling with things as severe as bipolar disorder, all the way to ADHD, but then to really high functioning. We've had surgeons come in. Let me do that again where I'm not hitting the table. So we've had surgeons come in who are saying, I just want to move up. I want even that millimeter of performance difference. And I think that was you. We were like, you're amazing. Can we take you even better? And I think we have. Would you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. I stay on track more. I'm finishing things more. Yes. I'm sleeping better. Yes. Figuring out all new things to do with Collective Women's Leadership all the time. So
not that you needed more motivation, but you got it.
I want to walk through myths versus mindfulness.
Okay.
So, and bust a few like misconceptions that people may talk about or question. So neurofeedback is only for people with trauma.
Yeah, no, I disagree. I think anybody can get better. Anybody can move the needle in a positive direction for their brain.
You have to believe, quote unquote, in that it works.
Yeah. No, you don't. So I'll tell you about my son. So he's 20 now, but when I had him on the machine, he was 16. And he was like, "You're doing voodoo over here, Mom. Like, I don't know about all this." And he really hated being on the machine.
Okay.
He was just bored. He didn't want to do it. And I was like, "Hey, you want the Wi-Fi password? You're doing this."
Sure.
You know? And he was actually failing like a math class. He was not doing well. And I think he had the beginnings of depression going on. And so we put him on the machine consistently. I think we were doing at least 3 times a week for him. And he started passing his classes. He ended up with the Millennium Scholarship at the end, from failing to getting the Millennium Scholarship. And now, only recently has he told me, "Yeah, I think maybe it might have helped, Mom. Like, I guess." I'm like, okay.
And if you don't mind sharing, you have a younger son.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing that story, because I think that's important. And all parents go through some form of what you went through with your younger son.
Yeah. So my younger son was kind of a tough bird from the very beginning. He cried so much. But by the time we got the neurofeedback machines, he was better than he was before. But he still was waking up 2 and 3 times a night, coming into my room, scared, nervous. He was acting out in class, behaviorally having issues. And so we did the same thing. We put him on the machine maybe 3 times a week, and his behavior got better. His teachers were like, "What are you doing? What's going on?" And now his teachers will refer to us because they can see that there was a big change with him. His sleep got better, all kinds of stuff.
Another myth or mindfulness. It's the same as meditation or therapy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, good. We've had one person kind of get on us with that. I think meditation can bring you some similar things, but it's going to take a lot more time. Mm-hmm. There's a guy, his name is Dave Asprey. He calls neurofeedback 40 years of therapy in 20 sessions.
Sure.
So
I agree with that.
Yeah. So you can kind of supercharge the benefits of meditating.
Wow, that's so fascinating, because I know a part of it is at times there are some protocols within neurofeedback where you have to make sure you're not falling asleep.
Yes.
And you're not going into this full Zen state.
Yes.
You do have to be present for that.
Yes.
So the brain and the leadership connection, I think this is a really important one, especially, part of Collective Women's Leadership, and we're here really trying to elevate all women and what we bring to the table to get to advocate better for ourselves, to lead with confidence, to show up and own rooms that they maybe were not confident in before.
Yeah.
So why is brain regulation such a powerful tool for leaders, creators, and high performers?
Oh, man, it's such a huge tool. And I think about myself. I was a leader in the therapeutic community for sure, but the way that I can walk into a room with my brain being regulated is so different. It is just, it's hard to put into words how different it is. I think brain regulation is so important for leadership. I can't even describe it, honestly. It's such a big deal. And I think about myself and trying to lead with my life and kind of things. I tell my clients all the time, like, I was a really good therapist when I was in the room, but the effect of being 20 notes behind on my psyche when I would come into a room is so different than being like, "Hey, I got my stuff together. I'm walking in here. Life is good. Here I am right in this moment." And I've also seen story after story of people, as they get their brain regulated, their business is thriving more. And I'm one of those. Right. We doubled our business in the first year after me getting my brain regulated. It's wild. Yeah.
Do you feel that it is a huge compliment and plays into emotional intelligence?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Right.
for sure. Well, when I think about emotional intelligence, I think about my husband. He was, for our entire marriage, he couldn't tell me how he felt about anything. I'd be like, what do you feel about that? We'd be in therapy, and the therapist would be like, tell us about how you feel. And he'd be like, I don't know, right? And about 10 sessions in, this guy comes to me, and he goes, hey, I'm having this emotion about blah, blah, blah. And I
Wow,
was
he
like,
said that?
What? Yeah.
Wouldn't it be amazing if we could all do that?
Literally.
Wow.
Yeah. Wild.
Can better brain balance lead to more effective communication, confidence, and clarity just in your day-to-day life?
Oh, yes. Yes. And I would say all of our clients get that. Not everybody gets everything, right? Like not everybody reports better sleep, not everybody. But I would say the clarity, the confidence, the being able to communicate what's going on, I would say almost everybody is telling me that.
How do you track those people who are getting better? So what does that look like? How do you track it clinically?
Yeah.
From a patient's perspective?
Yeah. So we're super simple. We start with 4 primary growth areas. So these are the 4 things that are really hurting your quality of life. And we want to see, are we making a difference with that? It's just a simple slider bar of, hey, is it improving? Is it not improving? And that's how we know if we're on the right track. If not, we're going to change course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how often or how long are sessions? So I come to you and I want to improve in 4 specific areas.
Yeah.
Typically, how many sessions does one need to go through?
Yeah, everybody's a little bit different, and also depending on the severity of what's going on, of course. But what we do is 2 times a week minimum. Now, some people can take the more intensive approach like I did, right? They can do doubles. They can come every single day. We're open 7 days a week to try to make it really easy for people to get in. And so how long do they do that? Again, that kind of depends. I'll give myself as an example of what I typically do. So for my pretty severe ADHD, I did about 20 sessions. And then for my PTSD type symptoms, I did about 20-ish. And then I did 9 on top of that to seal in. So I did about 50, which does sound like a lot. There are people who will break that up and people who need less. It just kind of depends.
People who have a great relationship with their therapist and talk therapist, is it ideal for them to add on neurofeedback?
Yeah, so it's a really good complement to neurofeedback. And if you already have a good relationship with your therapist, what I typically like to do is have a conversation with them. Say, hey, what do you see? Where do you see their blocks? What do you see that they could be helped by? And so that coordination of care is really valuable. And then later on, I can check in with the therapist and say, what have you been seeing now? What are the changes that you're seeing? And so, yeah, so I say stay in contact with your therapist, all of that stuff.
Yeah, one isn't over the other.
No.
They are a nice complement.
Yeah.
Continue
Yes.
moving forward.
And
in that
therapists
path.
don't need to feel threatened. Like if you have a good relationship with your, I don't want therapy clients. I don't take therapy clients. So they come in for the neurofeedback and then they go right back.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So advice for mental resilience and self-regulation. So what are small daily practices that we can use to support our brains even without neurofeedback?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the number one thing I would say is just taking some deep breaths. You know, everything goes from that vagus nerve, right?
Yep.
And letting that go. And then I'm a huge advocate for anti-inflammatory eating. So because inflammation makes the brain feel worse, and that is actually correlated with depression, anxiety, all that stuff.
Anti-inflammatory eating. I love that. So clean eating.
Yeah,
right?
clean eating, yeah.
So that does play a role in our
I think it
neurofeedback.
does. I think it does. And I think the more sensitive of a person you are, the more of a role it's going to play. I'm a pretty sensitive person, so if I ate, a piece of candy or something, I'm not going to feel very good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good.
Yeah.
That will help our brain functions.
Yeah.
How do you personally care for your mental and emotional state as the founder and truly a healer?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, there's a couple of there's lots of things, but I think the number one thing as a therapist that I had to learn is that everyone else's problems are truly their problems, and I'm not meant to take those. I got a visual one time of my clients as like a steel pole kind of in front of me, and they have all these stories that are like their rubber bands. And so as they come in, I could pull that to me and I could be with them in that. But then as they leave, I have to let that go because that's theirs. So I use that a lot. And then really downtime, rest time, I really do take a true like day of rest on Saturday or Sunday. And I think that if I'm not doing that, my mental health suffers for sure.
I think that is a huge, very important point, right? Is women, whether we're taking risks or building businesses and full-time parenting, all of the things, self-care and prioritizing who we are, whether that's an hour or a half a day or a massage or mindfulness, something, women have to put themselves first more to become better and to get out of their own heads. I hear that more and more, and I've been doing that for a very long time, since I was in my 30s when it dawned on me that I had to do that.
That's really good.
What would you tell someone who feels stuck in their head all the time, right? I'm sure you, not only as a therapist, but a lot of women who I try to help, and I think who you try to help in different aspects, but the same. So many women either feel as though that they're stuck or they're exhausted, they've plateaued in their career, they can't figure out which direction to go next. I mean, from a neurofeedback standpoint, what would your top tips be?
Yeah, I mean, I think neurofeedback is my top tip. It truly is my top tip. Because I think that's kind of what neurofeedback specializes in. Are you stuck? Have you tried a bunch of different things and it's not moving through? Let's go directly to the brain and see what we can do. And then the brain, as it calms down, it can be more creative. It can solve different problems for you. Like, I think about the systems. It's so silly, but like, we'll cut this out if it's bad, but it's so silly, but like, even just organizing, like, what are the serums that I want to use on my face every day, every morning? Well, I put them in buckets of like my AM and PM buckets, and I just got multiples so that when I pull that out, then it's all there, right?
Right.
But that system, when my brain was so chaotic, it couldn't think of that. Now that it's calm, I think of all these different creative systems that I can use to make my life easier.
That's great. And there's something trending that I keep seeing. There's a quote on social media that talks about boredom.
Okay.
The more bored we are is where really creativity starts to bloom.
Oh my gosh.
So let's all get more bored.
Yes.
Just be
Let's
bored.
allow it.
Do something to be a little more boring.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Put your phones away and just sit and stare and
Yes.
have downtime, because it is
Give
it
your
is
brain
truly,
that space.
Yeah, you have to have it. What do you think sets your clinic apart and you apart from other neurofeedback clinics that may pop up or that we may see?
Yeah. I think the main thing is this is all we do. This is my main focus, pun intended. This is my main focus. And I think the other thing that sets us apart is, my husband is a software engineer by trade. And so getting his wisdom about the technical aspects and making sure that we're getting the technical aspects right? Like, I'm bringing the clinical, he's bringing the technical. And I think that's pretty magic. I think the other thing that sets us apart is our proprietary protocols that only exist on certain machines.
Okay.
And so sometimes somebody will tell me, oh, I didn't feel great on neurofeedback. And I say, okay, I'm going to put you on this particular one. And there's proprietary protocols, especially for people with sensitive brains.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does one know they have a sensitive brain?
So
How would I know that?
Yeah, good question. So basically, one of the ways is if you can't maintain a mood, if you find yourself like, oh, I woke up in a good mood and then I kind of fell off, or I heard something bad on the news and it really messed me up for a couple of hours. If I take a medication and then I have a bad reaction to it, those are the people who are sensitive that we want to put on a specific protocol.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So there are other neurofeedback non-proprietary practices out there.
Yeah, there's just like any other thing, right? Like if you go for toilet paper, there's different brands. There's different brands of neurofeedback.
So quick fire round in terms of what you love. So what is your favorite calming ritual that you do for yourself?
Oh, a bath.
A bath.
It's the
I love a
best.
bath. That's a great one. Go-to grounding song or sound?
I listen to a lot of Sia, but so it's like loud music is grounding for me.
Wow. So what's one book that changed how you think about the mind or life?
I have so many books,
Yes.
but I think the number one book that I recommend, especially to women, is something called The Verbally Abusive Relationship.
Okay.
And it's probably not what you thought I was going to say.
No, I did not.
But I think it's foundational information that we all need to know about what is verbal abuse. Did we have that in our past? Are we accidentally doing it because of something that we had in our past? And is our partner doing it? Willingly or not willingly, and I think we need to know about that and how much that can mess with your brain and your life and your psyche is staggering.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Sorry.
So what is something you're working on through neurofeedback right now as you're constantly evolving?
Yeah, so this is something you've helped me with, Joyce. I just finished Her Collective Power with you, and we talked about putting myself out there as the leader of our business and with social media and LinkedIn and all of that stuff. So that's my main job right now.
Good. Are you using neurofeedback to help you with that?
Yes, for
Wow.
sure. Yeah. There's a closed eye protocol that's really helpful when you feel nervous about something or to get ready for something. Yeah. So
Do you have
using
a
it.
block in that? Naturally a block of not wanting to put yourself
I do
out
have
there?
a little bit of a block. Yeah, I think so. I think it's, everybody has a little bit, right?
Sure.
It's like vulnerability,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there, all that stuff. Yeah.
So what's the first thing you do after you finish a long day of neurofeedback sessions for yourself?
So the main thing that I do is I connect with my husband.
Oh, that's great.
We're connected at the hip, and we have to, and we debrief and talk, and sometimes we'll take a walk and all that stuff.
And you work together, so
Yeah,
I think
we do.
that's incredible
Yeah,
that he's
yeah.
on this journey with you
Yeah,
as well.
he's amazing.
That's awesome. Well, Jillian, I can't thank you enough for being part of the Collective Mike and part of Collective Women's Leadership here in Vegas. I personally have benefited so much from neurofeedback and your help, so thank you.
Oh my
in
gosh,
terms of
thank you.
elevating collective women's leadership. How do people find you?
So they can find us on Instagram at IWC Nevada. So because we're Integrative Wellness Clinic of
Okay.
Nevada. And then our website is www.iwcnv.com.
Awesome. Jillian, it was awesome to talk to you. Thank you so much.
You're amazing.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
I hope you loved this episode as much as I did. For more tips on elevating your leadership, please follow us on Instagram, Collective Women's Leadership, or visit our website, collectivewomensleadership.com. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.